Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Experiencer Podcast, the podcast that brings you upfront and personal with past and present enigmatic experiences from individuals who have witnessed or even interacted with the strange, the extraordinary, and the otherwise unknown existence of UFOs or aliens. If you've had an out-of-this-world experience you'd like to share, please reach out to me at theexperiencerpodcast@gmail.com. If you have photos or footage of UFOs, IAPs, or any other extraordinary phenomena and would like to share it, please forward it to theexperiencerpodcast@gmail.com. Welcome back, everyone. I am elated to be able to broadcast with you all and share the following experiences from today's guest. I'm going to keep this simple. I'll introduce our guest, and otherwise we'll jump right into the show and let him tell us the gist of it. This is Jordan Paldi from Henderson. Thank you for being here with us this evening.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
Jordan is kind enough to spend time with us today to share and hopefully just maybe inspire folks to a more mind-opening dialogue around this sort of subject via these episodes. Please, Jordan, do us a favor and begin by giving us the setting. Maybe start with telling us where and when and how old you were when all this took place.
Yeah, about 5 years ago, September, well, a little over 4 years, September of 2018. I just gotten a new to me Camaro. Bought it off my aunt and uncle. Old 2000 silver Camaro, and that was a perfect opportunity. Hey, let's go out to the desert near Area 51, see what we can see. Worst comes to worst, so at least see some pretty stars. So we headed up, just out towards Rachel. Go through, what is it, Alamo on the way there, right? It's a gas station town, yeah. Make that left turn. I got another funny story if we have time. Get to it about that turn before you turn left, man.
I'm sure we will. I look forward to it.
Yes, we will, because it does tie. It ties into the subject. But the main one at hand. So that night, good ride. It's a convertible. We decided to take Chris's dog Oxley with us. We're going down the 375. I think is the branch off when you're heading towards the lake, Groom Lake. And we're going to Mount Tickaboo? Mount Tickaboo, thank you. Going towards Mount Tickaboo Peak, yeah, which is supposed to overlook everything, as close as you can legally get. We head out. We get there a little bit after sundown? No. We were a little late, I feel. Yeah, we were definitely a little bit late, which is fine. It was a glorious night. But it was a fun time to bust out, this low to the ground Camaro and these dirt roads that we branch off. I still have an oil leak to this day. It's very, very minuscule.
I might have took you on a mission. It was our first trip to the Area 51 mountainside.
Well, it's always a great reminder too. Night goes by. We grab a 6-pack. Gaze at the stars. There was a little bit of clouds in the beginning, looking towards. See, we pull off towards. I'd say towards the west. That night, then it cleared and just glorious. Got some. Brought my DSLR, old Canon T3i. I had experience getting the longest it would allow me, 30 seconds. But long exposure photography. Long exposure, yeah. Whenever I go camping, I could always try and get some fun shots. Whether
beautiful stuff. That's how you capture the stars, right?
Oh, for sure. Not just the stars. Right. Got some pics, where even just a 5-second exposure, get this light one side and then light on the other side, and you're like, what made that fast, perfectly horizontal, not diving in like an asteroid or something.
Oh, awesome. You never told me that.
Oh, I didn't tell you that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I got a few pics like that.
Okay. Well,
So we grabbed some great
out.
photos that night as well. We're trying to time the lights of the Camaro and get everything lined up. When we see Oxley, Chris's dog, just hops out the back. And homeboy's been pretty good all night. He was a little excited in the beginning. But he's been chilling. All of a sudden just gets up, hops out, runs like 50 yards down the road. And we're like, yo, dude, what do you see? And he just, we get him back in eye view. And we don't see nothing. But, homeboy is just staring. And, we're a little bit high alert. I mean, yeah, we know people are watching us, at least people. Trucks are driving. There's 3 trucks that we've seen at any given moment in the background.
Through the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Some with lights on, some with lights off. They want their presence to be known.
Right. The one that let us know Tickaboo Peak was off limits popped up out of nowhere. And just followed us up to the sign that said, "This is a CIA installation." We turned around and got the point.
Yeah, we got within like 5 or 10 feet. It's like, yeah, you'll go to prison for a minimum of 6 months.
No, but so obviously we found ourselves back searching for a good spot. We're now doing long exposure photography.
Yes.
Almost off the side of the road. I think we found by happenstance a highway that led off into the desert between what is probably Area 51 and Section 4. And in that desert road highway, we happenstance found a black mailbox, which we later found shows up on GPS as the black box or the black.
Yeah, it is just the black mailbox.
There you go. So this is where all of this takes place, and so now my dog is spooked. You said he jumped out of the car, didn't he? Run back from out in the desert and hopped in your car.
No, you are correct.
So he was spooked by something, and we had seen just prior to that moment a car come down the highway, kind of slow down, and some silhouette we observed cross the highway, right? And then Oxley comes running, hops in
Yes,
the car.
I do remember him
whining.
going back at some point though. But I do remember the whining because I remember we got back out. I don't know if he went with us, and we were staring.
Yeah, we're all enjoying long exposure photography and having a beer.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. It was a great time. And that's all the setting for...
So after we've come back down from the sign, we get to the road Chris is talking about. We went a little bit further than just the black mailbox itself. Like we kind of branched off. We're getting the photography. We look up at the sky, as one would do when trying to get photos of the sky and stuff. And we see a very bright light. And this light can very quickly move omnidirectionally, zip across the whole horizon that we can see. It's not very far in the distance. It's more above us. So, it's definitely, it's hard to gauge for the human eye. It could be miles up. It could be a few thousand feet. It just depends on the actual scale of this device, But not like, like you see drones, and they can go omnidirectional and stuff. But this accelerates and comes to a complete stop instantly. It'll zoom across the whole sky and all momentum will just stop. And then it'll shoot like straight upwards, like the Willy Wonka glass elevator going diagonal ways and sideways. And every time it just comes to an instant stop. And then just zip, stop, zip, stop, zip.
Exactly.
And with our eyes, we can follow maybe the smallest little bit of tailing on this ghost trail. But we actually got a small video of it. On the video, you can see this, basically it almost looks like a little star just jumping. But you can't quite follow the ghosting like we could, with our good human eye.
and to my recollection,
Yes.
it was making like triangular patterns. Is that what you
Yes.
remember as well? Before it would leap to the next quadrant of the sky altogether and then repeat a new triangle pattern, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. Yeah, those are definitely vectors to which normal aircraft wouldn't do, right? Conventional aircraft.
No, not at all. Especially what's going to stop like that,
Right, on a dime. And I barely remember the trails it made. It was almost instantaneous, right? From the peak of it, one spot, down to a lower corner of the triangle, and then be there, blink twice, and then it would be gone again.
And I wonder, how fast, that's probably even slow mode,
Right. That's all we could perceive.
There was also that night, I remember, a persistent light at some point that then just, well, real bright, and then, but it was real quick. I think you might have looked down right when that happened.
I remember catching one, and it was kind of like a firefly that lit up.
Yes.
And then would go out, and we only saw it for a minute or two versus the 5 to 10 minutes that we saw the original UFO or the original craft being tested or whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It could be of
being right there.
Yes.
It felt like it was ours, right?
Yes.
My interpretation was that was ours being tested, and we did pick a night specific to the literature of those in the know of UFOs and reverse engineered Area 51 project. So there's this particular night that's supposed to be good, and that was the one we said, okay, let's try and see if that's it. And it seemed to work out that time.
Atmospheric, I don't want to say pressure necessarily, but where conditions are right and good for flying,
Right. And we were lucky; it was clear skies, so same on our end, right?
Yep.
Yeah. We've been back many times since, and not quite as lucky. So.
No, not quite. I mean, no. Well, do you remember that time we went with the snow?
Yes.
Yes,
and there tracks.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, not the bear tracks when me, you, and Pat went to Pine Valley. This was the snow when all of us went back up towards the Black Mail.
And everybody.
Yes, I remember human footprints and some other creature.
I thought we were guessing was bear, but we couldn't.
Yeah. But the thing is, there were no prints leading up to these prints. They just appeared there and then went off into the distance.
Snow almost everywhere, and you were the one that discovered those prints, right? Weren't you out walking in circles and you discovered, hey guys, take a look at these curious prints?
I think so. I feel one of the other peeps that night might have been
maybe
with me.
Pharaoh, but
yeah.
I think Pharaoh was in that area, but you walked over and found them, looking down and around.
And but we didn't find what made those.
Yeah, so describe a little bit more of the prints and what was curious about them.
Well, what was curious, as I was saying, so we pulled up in a vehicle, very snowy, cold night. We're the only ones there. In every direction I looked, and these prints are probably at least a good 200 yards out from the road where we parked. If, looking down the rest of the road to the left. But they weren't on the road, that dirt road. They were just off into the desert. Right. And there was nothing, the prints just started there. It's not like the prints ended where we were, but they started where we were. And I'm just wondering, well, where are the prints leading to this? It's
where
like
they come from.
Exactly.
Right.
Like if someone had just airdropped into the spot and started walking.
And then how far did they go?
We didn't follow it super far. I mean, we followed it.
It's like
maybe a quarter mile tops or something. I don't even think.
If that, I remember that's right.
No, we went a quarter mile down. I'd say the main road.
Right, but it was, and I remember, at one point did it cross the road or did it stay on the side?
No, I think it stayed to the side, going off to the hills there.
And did it go in a straight line or did it kind of like curl around once or twice?
It definitely like serpentined and stuff.
Yeah, I do remember that. That's a great description, serpentine.
Yeah, I don't think it ever did a full loop-de-loop though.
Right, but it did meander.
Yes, definitely
and then
like a river.
Did it continue off into the distance or did it just stop as well?
No, as far as I saw, they just kept continuing.
Oh, okay, so it did.
Yeah.
It did continue on.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting though. So still, regardless, whatever it was, it either came to a stop at the road and went back the same exact way, or it
could have walked backwards, maybe, just to mess with us.
That's interesting. I forgot about that. Which was curious again. I had forgotten about our original sighting on our original time until we came back, and I'll tell you personally, it was literally when you showed the video to Pharaoh or Rick or whoever it was that came with us, and I heard my voice on the video, and you're like, yeah, Chris, we saw something last time, and I was like, what? And you're like, you don't remember we saw the thing in the sky, and you described it briefly, and then you pull out the video, and then once I hear us commenting on what we're observing, it came back to me in a flash. It was really weird, and you know me, I'm into this stuff, obviously making this podcast, so how in the world, without being neuralized, how in the world could I have forgotten such an awesome, I mean, I remember vividly now.
Yeah. I don't know, sometimes just the way we place memories.
Hey, that's a good point.
Like you said, you've had your own experiences. I'm sure you'll go through on the show. And
So
I'm glad you remember that.
how about so that was one of your most recent experiences. Do you have any prior experiences? With
Yeah,
the same
so
kind?
one cool one, me and my brother were driving on the 95 around sunset at this time. Being 95 heading north. And there's just a bright, like sun like object just chilling over the mountains. Like it's like gyroscope. So no matter where we move, this thing is like in the same spot. And yeah, it just chilled there for like 10 minutes, and we're like, I don't know at the
How
time.
big was it? It sounds
It was decent size. Yeah, like it wasn't the sun sized.
okay.
But like maybe a quarter to half a sun size if you were just
Wow.
yeah. It was huge, and
And
I've
was it
never
the
seen
color
anybody
the
have
sun?
video of
Was
it.
it orange or
It was a
yellow?
little more of orange to our like maybe a sun at sunset rather than
That's orange.
yeah, exactly.
That's yellow.
Yeah,
at least,
rather than
right?
like a high noon yellow
Okay.
sun or something.
Okay.
Um, like right when we turn, there's this wall at Russell, but we turn. There's something that blocks us. You know, the freeways, weather walls, and something. And then when we get right open, within a few seconds, and I don't think it was before the era of like smartphones necessarily, but they weren't good quality. Not everyone like had like a camera ready to go and pop.
Yeah,
Get this
and
off.
half the time we're dumbfounded by it. I can't
Yeah,
believe we
or
looked
driving,
up.
like
Exactly.
crash. Exactly.
Okay. How about any other UFO experiences in life?
So that night we were going to Eagle Valley Reservoir. Me, my family, friend, we are gonna go camping. This is kind of on the east side, central Nevada. Um, when you would turn left to go to the extraterrestrial highway, or you can go forward another 100 feet and go to the proper road to get to Eagle Valley. Well, we had turned left, and we went like 80 miles the wrong way.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so we were going up the extraterrestrial highway that night. Darn, if only we had done like 30 more feet, we would have seen the sign to go where we need to. But it's cool, you get good memories and stuff. So we don't really see anything up there, except I notice the mile markers, and I look at old MapQuest crap. And I'm like, hey, this is the wrong road. We need to turn around. But when we turn around is when we start to see stuff. Yes. Me, my aunt, and my friend Blake, my aunt Jenny, my friend Blake, we would see like a dude on a post. And as we drive up, the post guy would just disappear. And we're thinking it's a hitchhiker, but all of us would see him in pairs, but none of us would see him at the same time. Like all three wouldn't see it at the same time. It was always two of us. And in between every time we would see him, we would see a light behind us, just following us in the sky. And then it would disappear. And same thing, not all three of us would be able to see that at the same time. But two of us could.
So as you're traveling,
Yes.
each one of you randomly looks out the window.
Yes, on our right.
On the right, on the
Yes,
same
on the
side.
right, yes.
And you each keep seeing a man on a post.
Yes.
Like a
Just
person under
like
a street
leaning-
light, but he's on a post.
Leaning on a post, his
Whoa,
hand
he's
on his
leaning.
head.
He's
Yes.
actually hand on the head.
Yes,
leaning.
and like hand on the hip.
like
his
an
other
old
hand.
western kind of lean on a tree type of thing.
Yes, exactly
Okay, I'm
like you
making
just
up
did.
a post.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's very similar to what you just leaning and his other hand here, on his hip, basically. His arm leaning on the
Now,
post. the other hand
how
on his hip.
many times had you seen this, each one of you,
Um,
before you said to the other one, did you see that? Like, how long
The
till you
first
confirmed
time, because I think we're like, hey, you see that guy on the post? We're like, yeah. Then, again, we're like, okay, that was weird. And then somebody else pointed it out, but then the other person couldn't see it. And there were still three more people in the vehicle. It was,
Did everybody see it?
no, not everybody saw it.
Like, the driver
I think my mom was
didn't?
driving. Yeah, I don't think she saw it. She might have seen the light. I'd have to ask her. But I know for sure me, my Aunt Jenny, my friend Blake.
So was you guys are on the highway, the objects you keep seeing just ahead and then catch up with you and kind of disappear, or catch up and pass by you? Did you see it as it passed by?
A little bit before we got to it.
Okay.
So
almost like hologram that disappears as you get to it.
yes.
And meanwhile, an object floating above and behind you
Yes.
as you approach it.
Yeah.
Not
Pass it.
simultaneous, but at different intervals you see the light behind you.
Yes.
Wow. So it's almost the shortest logical idea is that thing is projecting a hologram in front of you guys. that would be my quickest
anglerfish
scientific
type,
thought.
maybe.
Right. Oh, that's kind of interesting.
I don't know though.
But that is really cool. That is really something. I mean, of course, I'm just surmising, but just saying that's odd to see. It's peculiar to see a light behind you and to see what looks like a projection in front of you that disappears. I would say it's a ghost, but if it disappears every single time you approach it, and everybody sees it at different intervals, I mean that's really peculiar as opposed to a ghost at a single location.
That same night, I do think there was a ghost encounter. This one was unique to me.
This is a busy night. Now, when was this?
This, I would have been maybe 17-ish, going to Eagle Valley Reservoir.
But taking a wrong turn and heading towards extraterrestrial highway.
Yes, and then we turn around and we head back.
What a story! What an interesting foray of a detour that leads into amazing experiences. So please continue.
So
what year was this? I'm sorry to cut you off.
Probably like 2007. Plus or minus maybe like a year. Because back in the day, homie Blake probably go camp with us once or twice a year. He was one of my best friends from childhood. And we were back on the road heading to the reservoir, maybe 20 minutes away, and we're getting into these winding mountains. And, we're probably about 3 hours later than we should have been. I know everyone's tired, but I see in front of me like a pack of horses, like 20 strong, just run across the street. And the last one we missed maybe by like 100 feet. And,
it looks almost like you're gonna hit it.
Yeah, not my mom was comfortably I felt like she was in control. It was like, okay, but I was just admiring. I'm like, wow, that's fucking cool. And then nobody says anything. No one brings it up for like 10 seconds. I'm like, am I the only one who saw that? And saw what? I'm like, there were like 20 horses in a big group that ran in front of us. And they're like, no. I'm like, okay. But it was cool. And
were they like in full stampede, fast motion? Like hoofing it and kicking up dust?
They had a good stride. They definitely weren't like walking across the road. They were like, wow. But not like kicking up dust.
What colors? Do you remember any colors? Like it's nighttime. I get.
Yeah, it was like pale brown. Some not white, but like a grayish. Some others little darker brown with a little bit of a lighter accents around. Not like a cow, but maybe more lineish, you know what I mean? It's horses.
Not like a cow.
But their manes were all definitely lighter. To me, they kind of radiated with the moonlight.
Wow, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Did they have any depth or density to them that really made it seem more than ghostly, or did they appear ethereal? Did they appear ghostly?
So almost like their hair is a standout. Like, I don't want to say like blowing, but like willowing and like weaving. And maybe more trails like the ship traveling, but not to that extent.
Did they follow a straight line or a diagonal or a natural?
They had went across the street, perpendicular to it, like chicken crossing the road, and then had turned off down this hill.
So following like a slow canyon or something.
Yeah, maybe a game trail or something that goes across, down from one hill across into the other.
That would be interesting to look at the history of that area and see, was there a ranch, was there a fire, was there something?
So there is Echo Canyon there. I'm sure every state has 3 or 4 Echo Canyons. Just like Cathedral Rock and stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think they have petroglyphs and stuff there. I know there's some native history, I'm sure.
That's true. That whole area does have tons of Native American indigenous history going back even further than most people know. So, no one else in your car
had seen
confirmed that you're alone. Did you ever bring it back up to your mom or dad?
Oh yeah, I bring up ghost horses.
That did feel very freaking real. I just have to say it was a trip that y'all didn't see it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was years later. We were laughing. Probably I don't know, just 3 or 4 years ago now. Caught up with Blake. We were going up Pine Valley. Me and him were driving. My aunt and uncle and a couple other were driving, and my mom and them were driving. But we always keep walkies in the different cars for
I was
safety.
saying,
thing
there's a
and
lot of people
communicate.
driving. Like, how is this happening?
It's a big old family camping trip for like that 4th of July.
Bikes, but it's a car that everybody drives.
Well, this is like the week-long camping trip we're going for too. So
yeah, multiple vehicles.
And we just start chuckling, and they're like, "What's so funny?" Like, and we're like, "Oh, talking about the ghost horses." I'm like, "What the hell are the ghost horses?" So I reminded them, and you're like, "You know what? I do remember you talking about that, and you guys being well, she was with us, but I think my uncle at the time maybe drove in like a separate vehicle, because I'm trying to think. She was definitely in the car with us. I was trying to remember why there were so many. But yeah, that was that. I've seen chevron-shaped vehicles, like the shape of the chevron. Right. Yeah. Just fly over my parents' place.
In Henderson?
Yeah, in Henderson.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, just be chilling in their jacuzzi and look up and yeah, silent. It doesn't make any noise, you know.
Classic story of a silent chevron.
Yeah, really low.
I was just gonna say, how low?
Yeah, no, there's a few hundred feet tops. Like
that's bad.
Lower than a flight for life.
Did you notice seams, or was it seamless? Did you notice lights?
No lights. I noticed it interfering with any starlight, or moon, anything that was out that night.
Okay, so it was almost cloaked. It was invisible, but it passed over.
It passed over. Yeah. I wouldn't say it was like more black.
Okay. Oh, okay. So,
but definitely, it wasn't like the V2 in shape where it has. But I'd say it was even more blocky, square, like a definite like solid bottom line into the chevron.
That's quite a handful of UFO experiences. Are there any more?
UFO. I've seen some.
And obviously, you talked about ghost horses as well as a chevron over your house, but.
Seen every now and then things flying. As I moved to this place called Dolan Springs, it's decently out there, kind of in the desert on the way to Kingman. I'm towards the back end of it, so I got pretty good stargazing and stuff. I haven't seen too much out there. I definitely get clear views of satellites, shooting stars all the time.
Yes, you do. There's another Elon Musk satellite like every 15 minutes. Maybe always 45. Launching. I might be exaggerating. Yeah. So okay, well then let's switch gears and if we can. So one of my favorite things I've bumped into in the literature is that usually, oftentimes, people will experience one extraordinary phenomena, might experience another. Right. Not everyone, but it does happen within the field, within the know of people who've had these experiences. So, if I'm not mistaken, you've had other experiences besides UFO. You've had paranormal experiences and others. So, can you share some of those with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So my dad always tells like stories like, "Oh yeah, I should took Jordan to like see a psychic or something when he was younger." Because I guess when I was like 3, my Aunt Jenny's first husband, Jim, had recently passed, 2 or 3, and I guess I just stopped in the hallway one day when my dad was there, and I looked past his shoulder, and I'm like talking to him like, "What? Okay, yeah, bye." And then I don't even like look at my dad, and I just turn around and like walk away. And he always thinks I had seen like maybe a ghost, because he always tell Jim, he's like, "When you die, just come and visit me." Like once. But things like blinds exploding, not like, oh, air conditioner comes on, but just be chilling, and all of a sudden, all the blinds in the kitchen just flush away outwards. I'm like, what the hell is that? What? Things always looks like a really tall dude, like 8 feet tall. When I brought it up, my dad's, "Oh yeah, you mean the guy in the top hat or something?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh yeah, he's been following the whole family for years." I'm like, "Oh, interesting."
Meaning his side of the family?
Yeah. Because he would talk about their house being haunted, Orange County, Orange, actually the town proper, when he was younger, like plates just flying out and shit. I guess even when he was dating my mom, I think at the time my grandparents were still on the property, and she had like visited that place, and she had seen something akin to like dishes just like falling out of shit too. When and my brother, like, this is one what I had buried, and then everything clicked. we were, I don't know, I'd been maybe 8, 9, I feel. My brother's about 3 years younger than me. And we would share the bedroom, and we're looking out the window, and we just see this dark figure. And, it approaches. It's shrouded almost in darkness. And it just keeps getting closer, closer to the window. I don't know why we didn't like freak out and go get our parents or nothing. But we both knew there's something wasn't right about whatever this was. And it gets closer, like we're like, okay, it's not real. It's not, whatever it is. It just
Is it silhouette dark?
oh, it's dark.
Ghostly?
Yeah, like hooded almost. I want to say it almost has like a shuffling to it as it approaches. Not like what's her face from The Ring. Not like it's like nothing
No
quite like
chains
that.
and
But like a slow, ominous shuffle that is also like a hovering shuffle
But
almost.
still kind of the ring movement. It's kind of that.
not quite to that crazy.
No, none of that Scooby Doo scariness.
A little maybe, but not like the heart, like but definitely not the details of the chick that had drowned in the well.
Or the cabin in the woods girl that's like dragging herself.
And but whatever it is, it just materializes through the wall and the window, and like bends over.
This is at your house.
Yeah, this is at our house. And it's not like, oh, we were molested by some random dude buried a thing. I'm like, oh shit, like, and my brother, he's like, hey, you remember when we had seen this thing like basically walk through our window, and it all just like came back to me. I didn't know, like, I actually freaked my brother out for a long time.
Obviously, if he was the one that brought it up, huh?
Yeah. As I'm like, oh, some other things. I don't.
So that sounds like you do have a precedent for your family on your dad's side, at least, having experiences. So it's really cool that your dad saw you young and was like, hey, pointed out like, hey, yeah, one, let me not let you forget you saw a ghost, or Uncle who?
Jim.
Uncle Jim.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to take you to a second. That's just really cool that he was, forthcoming enough with his own past experiences and
right.
to still hold on to that and say, damn, I saw my son talking to Uncle Jim, and then not only to have family experiences, but them to continue on through you. I'm assuming you have more ghost experiences to share.
And some more.
And do you think, looking back, do you think maybe you had that, like some of the ghost stories you'll tell, I recall, they're just kind of like haunting things that happen. But do you think, given your father and grandmother's experiences, do you think maybe you had an ability, at least at a younger age, to see things and or for them to come to you because you could maybe see it?
Possibly. I mean, do we all have the ability, and then we just lose that to some respect? As I've gotten older, I lose. Like I used to be able to like close my eyes and fill up a cup of water, no matter like what it was coming out of, whoever's drain, I could like get it to the top almost perfect just by sound. I can't like do that anymore.
I've always enjoyed practicing fun stuff like that. Walking like a ninja to filling up a cup blind to taking how many steps it takes to get to the next room, just memorizing it for no given reason.
OCD, Tourette's.
That's part of it.
That could easily be. So yes, potentially. I'm not saying I close myself off to other things. Is I'm like, hey, if ghosts are friendly. They do something maybe funny, like exploding blinds. I don't know if it's threatening or funny or what it is.
How did you take it?
Surprised the shit out of me.
Just like, what the fuck, basically.
Yeah, I'm like, that was kind of funny. I mean, you still like that was. Because, even if it's a practical joke, maybe it doesn't always come across that way to everybody. So, still trying to make friends. Yeah. But,
so please continue on with any other experiences you've had. And let me know, like, continue with your age and, where
yes, try and remind you of age whenever I can. Nice. I had, however people want to take this, they say with, you're still in REM sleep, but your body's awake with sleep paralysis. Mm-hmm. The first one I remember, I was like 16. No, I was a little older. We were working on a Hill Wars, which is like a Star Wars parody. Me and the homie Kevin Kelly had worked on in high school. So I'd been like 17 or 18. We were like 18, yeah. No, 17 I graduated, but 2008, and just exhausted. We're spending 14 hours a day on this like passion project, and we're just catching a nap. And around my parents downstairs, they have this old CRT. Wasn't old. I guess it was like right before flat panels and stuff started becoming more popular. And it lasted forever. But I wake up and I can't move. I'm just chilling in this recliner, and I'm staring ahead at the TV, and that from the glass is immaculately detailed, like demonic face forms, lines of like scales and horns with grooves all throughout its face, just looking at me, and as it
Floating
like
in the air.
in the television, and then like extruding out of it, not like extruding the glass, but like it itself, like coming out and then back in, as like these details have almost like a fluid of like very pale but dotted like colors. I'm trying to think.
That's spooky as shit.
Right? And you're just sitting there in the recliner, can't do shit.
It remained behind the screen.
Yes. Well, no, it would come, but it's not like it approached me all the way.
Right, but okay, so kind of like the Frighteners and how movies show like the monster, Freddy at the wall, and it kind of comes out a little bit. Did it do that?
Yes, kind of.
Oh, that's pretty.
But its whole demon face,
Right. That's freaky, man.
Probably maybe.
I love how you said
10 to 12 feet between me and the
very
TV.
detailed. What was your choice of words again? It
was like almost ornately detailed. Wow. But I think I said immaculate. But it's very like lines, the dots in the fluid, the grooves in the horns, the scales, and then everything within it is almost like like Rorschach in the movie 300, how his mask is kind of yeah, exactly. But not Rorschach blots, more what we consider demonic.
Morphine happening.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. That's creepy as hell.
A few years later, I was in college, and this one I'm asleep in my bedroom, and I wake up, but not really awake to some extent, I guess, and I am on my side. I'm a back sleeper, side sleeper, and I'm on my right side. My eyes are open. That's the only thing I can do, so I'm basically like this, and I see shadow basically come from my front door, as it I don't want to say it walked through the front door, I almost want to say it formed from the darkness of like the door, of the corner of the door as and walked out, and arms at like its side, and it kind of just slowly approaches me, not a shuffle, actually walking slow, and it bends over, leans its neck down like this, and just stares me in the face. But it has like a hood just right over, so I can't see its eyes.
So for those of you who can't see what like this means, Jordan is bent sideways, now more like one of those weird ring.
Yeah. So if you
type characters that's bent weirdly, awkwardly out of a normal spinal position.
Yes.
Lean to its side.
I would say more almost like a U-turn. Like its spine was that elongated.
When it did this motion?
So it walked up normally, maybe with a slight lean at first, and by the time it got to my feet, it started the heavy lean.
So kind of leaning down to see if you see it, and obviously into your view.
Yes, except for I can't see its eyes, because even though it's at this heavy lean, and you figure whatever almost cloakish thing makes up.
Oh, so it didn't tilt its head up at you; it just leaned.
It leaned its head, sideways-ish, but its cloak would have still been coming down.
Oh, it had a cloak.
Yes,
okay,
or the cloak could have still been part of its, actual body, but it's covering what would be its eyes. So I stare basically into an empty, like, void with a cloak around.
Wow. Did the cloak extend to the feet?
Yes, but not it was almost like armless, though. Like, maybe more like a cape cloak, because I could make out, like, its arm texture, because I could see for sure that its arms were at its side, with long fingers.
Jordan, it sounds like you're going to hell. It's a good thing you woke up, son. You had a chance to turn your life around.
A lot of different cultures will talk about one that sits on your chest and stuff. And, you get the feeling that you almost can't breathe or can't move or something, even when it's not on your chest, you know.
Right.
This one, I don't know if it was more of a fever dream or it was a tie-in between the, different realities, or, how media and stuff could influence you. There's a game that came out a few years
talked about
ago
that in my episode too.
called PT, which was a teaser. You've heard of Silent Hill, yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it was basically going to be a remake of Silent Hill. It's a brilliant teaser. You were basically in a hallway that would infinite. You open the door, you're back at the beginning of the hallway. And you got to solve kind of the mystery of what's going on. And, you go through and things are different. Like the radio might change. It's like, it's a sunny, it's a rainy day. Be safe out there. It's like 6, 5, 1, 3. And it's like, you murdered them and all this stuff. And you got to watch the ghost. But anyways, the loop always keeps happening, even if things change. And I always sleep with my door closed, maybe so the shadow man can't walk through as easy, or just privacy.
Or emerge from a shadow.
Yeah, very rare
door frame.
chance if I have the door open.
So are you saying that game may have contributed?
Not to that, but to what I'm about to get to. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I wake up and I'm like, shit, my door's open, and I walk down the stairs. I'm like. I go outside. I think I go to the bathroom. I walk downstairs, and I wake up again in my bed, and my door's open. And I look around. Okay, well, this ain't right. And I walk downstairs, and then this time I look down the stairs of the corner, because it's a one flight. You take a hard right, another flight. The corner's dark, like the flight leads to the kitchen. And I go down, and again I wake up in my bed, and now I'm like, well, shit. Am I stuck in the dream? There's been some dreams where I've been stuck, but not usually because it's on repeat. It's because
I've never had a dream on repeat. I've had them transition endlessly, but never repeat.
Right, the same thing, exactly. So I was getting a little freaked out, and then this one I'm like, am I going to start back in my bed again? And the third time was real. I'm in the reality now. But
oh wow!
And I think it was a good month after I had played it that it had somehow subverted into me.
Giving you a chance to see into your waking future twice, and then all of a sudden you wake up. Could you totally tell when you woke up the third time you were in normal waking reality?
No.
It wasn't until you
No, everything from light, except for the darkness in the kitchen, that was unnatural, but you don't notice that until you get around. Yeah. Everything else felt normal. Oof. All the clutter that was upstairs, everything was to a T.
Does anyone else in your family have similar or different, experiences? You've already kind of touched on that.
My dad, one of his other main things would have been what he always called sparks. And he would say, right before somebody he knew, or, maybe even friend of a friend or a coworker or something died, he would always see, these bright sparks, flashes, throughout. Almost, I think he said akin to rubbing your eyes real hard, and then how you see that kind of like that. But they just pop out of nowhere. And I the closer somebody is, when my cousin was murder suicide with her husband. I guess the night it happened or the day before, my dad just boom, taking up a quarter of his vision or something, just of sparks.
That's touching, man. That's really tough.
Yeah.
And he's obviously gotten to a point to where he knows what they are when they happen now, because it's happened enough times, right?
Yeah. I'd say either maybe he doesn't talk about it as much, or maybe just in recent years he doesn't see it as much. But I haven't heard him talk about sparks nearly as much.
Which you would think we'd see him more frequently because we get older, we lose more
right.
friends and family.
Exactly.
But still, it can be peaceful when you don't have painful, psychic experiences happening regularly or more frequently. So how about yourself? Any other paranormal?
Yeah, sure.
So you've had the demon out the TV screen. You had the experiences when you were younger. You had the man in the tall hat when you were a family. Did your dad or you ever, or your brother ever have any other tall hat or figure who that might be? A grandfather, uncle, anybody?
I'm not entirely certain, because especially after he said, I remember seeing it all the time from my old house, but it's always at the corner of my vision, and I think a lot of people have the corner of their vision ghosts and stuff. Ghosts, yeah. Exactly. No, I didn't know if he was just super tall. They described him with the hat. I'm like, I could see him having the tall hat. I always just thought he was 8.5 feet tall or something. No, it's really huge creature. I honestly haven't seen him as much in recent times. I'd have to ask my brother if he saw. I'm pretty sure something similar, like my Uncle Russ's family had seen him at some point, but they had the kind of a ghost of their own. They had like a basement. This was near Boulder High School. When I was going to middle school. So shoot, 2000. Ooh, yeah, about 2002, 2001 ish. Man, getting old. I'd hang out there after school. I was only like half a mile from school. Play pool in the garage, work out in the basement and stuff. But they had talked about a ghost. They think somebody has pushed down the stairs there and killed at some point, because all of them at one point had seen like I think a wife basically just being pushed down the stairs.
Like just her falling, or
no,
the
like
actual pusher?
like a push. Well? Yeah. I don't know if they just saw arms or what it was. It's been years and years, and I feel like one of them was even able to try and talk to it from the bottom, because I think they usually saw it happen from the top, but somebody was on the bottom once and saw her like reaching out or some noise. But he lives. Most of them live in Texas now. I could ask my cousin Joe. He's still here, or he's back here.
Did you guys ever attempt to dig up the basement, or did you ever have the thought maybe we should search the basement for bones? You know what I mean? Because it seems like when ghost experiences happen, they obviously are still needing rest, right? So they're reaching out, like, all right, tired of being buried in this basement. No one knows I died. Just let the world know so I can move on already. So it's always interesting if people do nothing, because we're so frightened by the experience, right? That we rarely take the indication that there's likely a body nearby or something that needs proper burial.
I always, before they told me about it, I felt like a coldness when I passed through the stairs, and maybe that is just a physical, like I'm not around basements too much. Maybe going from the upper floor.
They're always drafty.
Exactly.
No, I've been in nice cozy basements. You know what's funny is that they stuck you down there. They're like, hey, you don't know yet, Jordan, but we have ghost experiences, so we put a weight set down there for you to go keep it.
I used to love. They had like the leg. You'd push it. Yeah. Not like forward curls, but kind of whatever it's called. Yeah. And man, I was good at pool when I was younger. Tore around the pool stick. I could bounce balls, no problem. My 11-year-old.
Down there too?
No, pool was in the garage.
Oh.
Billiards was in the garage.
So you were hanging out plenty.
Yeah. Ramen, Frosted Flakes every day, and
they fed you well.
Yeah, we're doing all right.
So how about did you have more experiences there? That was that.
Give me one sec.
Take your time.
Remember the house.
And anywhere else you want to go, you are frequently.
There's one in my mind I feel happened at Dolan, but I'm trying to draw on it. So lots happened there. I was basically out alone in a trailer in the middle of nowhere. That said, a lot of people are like, aren't you, like, you'd figure there'd be more times where I might be at ease, but there's been some. Sometimes it just comes down to birds on top. They're like, click, 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 click. A bunch of, like, a whole family of 30 quail come down at a time. Will scare the crap out of you. But I know there's something, maybe I had pocketed it for a minute.
No worries.
Not that it's traumatic.
At this point, I wonder how many deep-seated lost memories there are. We'll have you back for another show. Yeah?
Thank you. Go back younger. Oh yeah, I'd always hear like laughter in my old house. Not when we moved. Almost like a Chucky, like not like the actual murder. I'm sorry.
That's your prior house.
This prior house, back on Price Street, across from Wells Park, Boulder Highway. A little bit before sunset. Public park. My parents lived across for the first 12 years of my life.
Did you hear them localized, or were they anywhere in the house that you might?
The bedroom area, I would say, always sounded like above the closet into what would be the attic, I guess. Towards the guest bedroom, which later became my bedroom, and my parents' bedroom. So it kind of have like a as it ran from the closet up top to over here. Yeah.
So basically like a running laugh.
Yeah, I wouldn't hear the steps, but you
Did it
can
sound
almost
like
hear the
kids?
voice move. Yeah, it was always like younger, but like I almost said more doll like something artificial-ish to it. But it definitely sounded younger. Um, uh, things that
That's pretty trippy.
disappear.
And how about if I'm not mistaken, maybe it's the same sleep paralysis story you already told me, but
Okay.
you told me about shadow beings, having seen being in sleep paralysis.
So there's a third sleep paralysis. There was 3 times, and I'm trying to recall. The two strongest ones in my memory are the demon face and that cloaked, shadowish.
The man leaned over.
Yeah, leaned over. Um, but there was a third one, and I'm trying to remember it. I feel like it was a group of something, but I don't think it felt as threatening, maybe, and that's why I don't. I don't know if you remember the ones that felt more threatening. I had to stay calm. I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, in a way, you're like, hey, mind, wake up, so you can, yeah, our body wake up. So at least, yeah, combined powers. Or, be like,
Activate.
shadow creature, like, at least, like, pet my head a little bit, be a little gentle, something nice. Make me feel at ease. Grab my hand. Yeah,
So
for sure.
before I do let you go, in hindsight,
Yes.
be it the UFOs or the ghosts, whichever one you want to talk about or speak on, do you interpret things differently? After time being there, do you have they left you feeling or thinking anything different about them?
My procrastinative nature doesn't allow my brain to form new biases. It's too lazy for that.
Just leave it at what it was.
No, it's all good. Yeah, absolutely. It's from a young age. The universe is very vast, especially as you see things and experience them yourself. Definitely not alone. Even if they're far, far away. There are things we're not being told, whether it's space, government, and what's this, whether it's for our safety or it's to slow our progression from going too fast or some noise, and who knows.
Any and all of them.
Exactly. You stay aware. You still swing with the punches. You keep an open mind for these things, and if something does happen, I feel you're more easily adjusted. And when it goes maybe to the ghost side of things, it's maybe you are there to help. Maybe somehow you can aid a ghost, or maybe it's like, hey, we really don't want you here. So far, I don't think I've ever felt a presence from a ghost that does that. I feel they do keep personalities, even if they meander into, a void where everything's kind of combining.
A void or a loop or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. A singularity in a way. The manga Berserk has a very interesting portrayal of the afterlife, where everyone, which I almost feel pulls on Greek mythology too, how everyone returns to the river of souls, and in a way, you're losing individuality, but you're also, you find a way maybe to just reach out a hand of the river and show a piece of yourself sometimes, and maybe that's when ghosts reach into our world. Or maybe they're just super individualistic and they can't join. Maybe the afterlife is everybody coming together.
You have to let your ego go
Exactly.
to get back to the source or the singularity.
Yes. And yeah, I'd say it's opened my mind to a lot of things. But so does everything. Learning the garden. Open your mind to a lot of things. Watching certain movies, hiking. There's even in nature. Oh, that's one thing. Yeah, okay. I'll do a quick little brief. We're doing a last little hike, Mount Charleston. Me, Pat, Chris, and all of a sudden, zoom! This like boomerang looking thing just goes by us like a speed dive. Like you hear the Falcons. You remember this? And it goes, and then just gone. Now you didn't see it like dip though, right? You just saw it or heard it go.
Damn tail end of it as it went into the forest, and I felt it and I heard it more than I saw it. Yeah. I think you were the front person, right?
Yes, and I saw it do its curve.
That's crazy. I saw like a shadow of a curve. That's what I really was. That's the only thing I saw was like some trail of a shadow curve into that forest canopy. just in front of us. You know.
Can I ask you before we close? Do you think a higher connection between things in nature and the paranormal, metaphysical, or perhaps things that don't want to be seen or cloaked are just more likely to be out?
Definitely so. You know, I didn't as a kid, but as an adult, I think we know that it's a multidimensional universe now. So it would make sense, you know, I've been in situations I won't get into where I've almost died, and, you know, whether you call it your guardian angel or your higher self, I didn't, something saved me, you know, I flipped around and, you know, caught some crazy thing by saving grace. Either way, I attribute that to a higher dimensional connection of myself. So I think animals have that. I think they have some higher or lower spirit connection. We talk, you know, the Native Americans talk about your spirit, right? Your spirit animal, and so on and so forth. So I definitely think that, you know, if Sasquatch is something that exists, if you know, multiple different levels of creatures, people used to call them fairies, so on and so forth. I definitely think a lot of creatures have a deity-ship about them or some multi-dimensional aspect.
Okay.
Let's see here. I guess one of my follow-up questions before I let you go. Have you ever, and this gives us all, you know, viewers, listeners, everybody a sense, have you ever reported any of these to an agency, to an official group like MUFON or, you know, National UFO Reporting
I should
Center?
publish. I never really have. This is probably the most formal thing here I've done concerning it. You know, I showed people the video of the thing at parties or
Right.
get-togethers, you know, watching stars. We're like, hey, look what I saw.
And only people willing to listen at that, right?
Yeah,
You're not just going to tell any old person.
Yeah, some people might, you know, just be there to drum or something and don't care about aliens, and that's cool too.
Or at work, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, y'all. Yeah, I should. I mean, now we got it here. The video, should post it somewhere. Reddit, UFO.
Well, I know we've tried to share it with each other.
Yes,
We've
we
had
did,
no
and
luck
it would not
whatsoever.
let me share the link. I don't even know.
Email. We tried
Yep.
email. We tried text. We tried a number of ways.
Yes. I need to just put it on an SD card and give it to you.
Yeah, and I didn't report either of those to any reporting centers either. So that just kind of gives people a sense, like, for, you know, how many are reported, how many out there aren't.
Right.
You know? And I would assume, and I've seen the numbers, that it's, you know, in the tens of times more than what are reported. So.
And I'd say that number of reports has probably gone higher in recent years. Well, I don't know.
It has, because we have more
of
places to
markets,
report, more resources, but yet and still we didn't.
Procrastination.
Well, man, I just want to thank you again for taking the time to come on.
Absolutely.
Thank you for taking the time to share with us your energy, your insights, your experiences, man. They're really awesome and quite something.
Yeah, thanks for having me in the studio, hosting the show. I'm looking forward to hearing some other guests.
I'd like to thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed what you heard, please don't hesitate. Like, subscribe, or follow the Experiencer Podcast. If you have an experience you'd like to share, you can contact me at theexperiencerpodcast@gmail.com with your story. As the Experiencer Podcast is building a companion website that will showcase and feature both any accompanying photos, footage, or details allowed or submitted alongside stories featured on the podcast, when permissible, it is in this vein that the Experiencer Podcast is seeking and now accepting any footage of alleged sightings, encounters, or experiences caught on camera. Please forward any links, footage, or photos via WeTransfer or Dropbox to the email theexperiencerpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again, everyone, and until next time, be sure to take care and, of course, keep those eyes on the skies. Good night.